Okay, so picture this. It's October 1973. You've got this brilliant scientist working for DARPA, the Pentagon's like innovation hub, and poof, they disappear.
Vanished.
Yeah, gone, just like that. And the only thing they leave behind, get this, a note. And it just says, "They're inside my mind." Spooky, right?
Chilling, definitely.
Totally. But here's the thing. Just 6 months later, the Soviets roll out this thing called Dusha Lovets, which, by the way, translates to Soul Catcher. Catchy name, right?
Ominous, bro.
Oh, for sure. But what it's supposed to do is extract thoughts, like straight from brainwaves.
Yeah.
So you got to wonder, right? Coincidence? I don't think so. What do you think? Like, what are the odds?
Yeah, it's quite a leap to think it's just chance. Especially in the heart of the Cold War, you've got to consider the context.
Oh, absolutely. This has Cold War tech heist written all over it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The possible theft and, let's be honest, probable weaponization of American psychic warfare tech by the Soviets.
It's like something out of a spy film, right? But this is the real deal. We were in the thick of it back then. That tension, the global chess match, all happening in the shadows. And smack dab in the middle of it, Project Stargate.
Right. Like the Pentagon going all in on psychic phenomena, remote viewing, telepathy, even precognition. They wanted it all.
Well, they were exploring every avenue, right? This was a time when the strategic thinking went way beyond conventional warfare. I mean, imagine the possibilities if they could weaponize the human mind. It's a fascinating, if not somewhat terrifying concept.
Totally agree. And by 1972, they thought they had it. They called it NeuroScan.
And what's really important to understand here is this wasn't some, mystical crystal ball or something. This was a machine. It was designed to map brainwaves, translate those electrical signals into data that could be understood. It's almost like, think of your brain activity as like this electrical storm. And NeuroScan was trying to decipher patterns in that storm, like connecting them to numbers, shapes, even emotions. That's a massive leap, technologically speaking.
Huge. I mean, think about it. You could peek inside someone's head, see their thoughts, all thanks to their brainwaves. Imagine what that means for espionage, intelligence gathering. Wild, right? But here's where things get strange. DARPA decides not to weaponize it.
Which begs the question, why? Was it ethics? Did they hit a technological roadblock that maybe our sources don't fully cover? Or did they perhaps underestimate how far other countries were willing to go? We just don't know for sure.
Well, based on what we've uncovered, that might have been a big mistake. Because guess what? A disgruntled scientist, at least that's how one source describes them, they leaked the specs for NeuroScan. And guess where they sent them? Straight to Moscow. We even have a retired DARPA engineer, goes by Dr. Alan V, and you remember the program starting as medical research? Then boom, it's shut down. Reason: supposed Soviet advancements. Suspicious much?
Extremely suspicious. I mean, imagine that. A program halted not because of its own flaws, but because a rival power supposedly jumped ahead. That either points to a huge oversight or, well, let's face it, successful espionage, which is what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, totally. All right, so fast forward a bit to 1975. That DARPA scientist is still missing, by the way. And the KGB starts bragging about Dusha Lovets, the Soul Catcher. But it's not just reading thoughts anymore. According to these files, it can record them too. Some even called it a truth extractor. Kind of creepy, right?
Definitely sends shivers down your spine.
Yeah.
And here's the real kicker. There's this uncanny resemblance between the blueprints of Dusha Lovets and NeuroScan. I mean, come on, it's too similar to be just a coincidence. This points directly to technology transfer, just like that leak we talked about.
It's a pretty convincing argument, right? So the Cold War goes on, and these mind-reading machines sort of fade away. You only hear whispers, rumors, like urban legend kind of stuff. Then bam, 2018 rolls around. Silicon Valley startup, they call themselves NeuroSphere Patents, a mind-reading headset. Yeah, you heard that right. AI-powered mind-reading headset. Headlines go crazy, investors are drooling, but then an engineer on the project spots something weird.
And this is where those historical threads we've been following start to get really interesting and a little unnerving. This engineer finds 1970s DARPA protocols in NeuroSphere's code. And guess what? They have Russian annotations. Red flag, right? I mean, where did their so-called cutting-edge tech actually come from, makes you think.
Big time. And get this, when they confront the CEO about it, he doesn't deny it, doesn't try to explain. Nope, he hops on a plane and flies straight to Belarus. Now, why Belarus, you ask? Well, let's just say they have close ties with Russia. If you've got nothing to hide, that's not exactly the move you make, right?
Yeah. It's definitely a move that raises serious doubts. And the choice of Belarus, of all places, only strengthens that connection to Dusha Lovets and its legacy. It's like they're picking up where the Soviets left off.
We even have this anonymous whistleblower from inside NeuroSphere, and they spill the beans on something called Project Phoenix. Sounds all hopeful and new beginnings, right? But the goal was to revolutionize mental health using this headset. Sounds good so far, right? Except, get this, the AI was being trained on data from old KGB torture tapes. I mean, seriously, you can't make this stuff up. Think about it, using torture data to supposedly improve mental health. It's messed up.
That detail, if true, is truly horrifying. It suggests a direct, unethical link between the Cold War mind-reading efforts and this modern-day application. Using data from such a dark source to develop technology for well-being. It's a chilling paradox, a complete contradiction.
It is. It really is. And the plot thickens even more. In 2023, we get another leak, this time from a hacker group. While our sources don't go into specifics about what was in the leak, it does show us that this story is far from over. There's more to uncover, secrets that someone wants exposed.
Absolutely. The fact that this information keeps surfacing through leaks and whistleblowers tells us there are people out there who know what's going on. They know about this technology, its implications, and they're trying to get the word out, even if it means going through unconventional channels.
Now brace yourself for this. 2020, picture this. We get a package in the mail. But this isn't just any package. It's a microfilm sent by, get this, a dying KGB archivist. Like something straight out of a spy movie, right? Talk about a deathbed confession. And what's on this microfilm? A transcript of a 1989 Politburo meeting. I mean, can you imagine the secrets, the insights?
That Politburo transcript would be like a window into the Soviet leadership's thinking about Dusha Lovets, how they saw its successes, any failures, maybe even their long-term plans for it. And the fact that a KGB archivist felt the need to leak this decades later, that speaks volumes. They knew this information was important, maybe even dangerous.
Exactly. And now we come to the present day. Buckle up, because this is where it gets really real. Russia has this AI called Sistema 12, and according to a 2024 EU report, this thing is scanning social media, looking for what they call subversive brainwave patterns. And they're doing it through webcams. Yeah, you heard that right, your webcam. Let that sink in for a minute. And the kicker, its tech supposedly traces back to, you guessed it, Dusha Lovets.
This is Dusha Lovets on steroids. It's taking that core capability, analyzing and extracting thoughts, and scaling it up massively. They're using everyday tech, your webcam, for mass surveillance. The implications for privacy, huge, monumental even.
Yeah, it's not looking good. We even have a former FSB officer, Alexei R., and he draws this comparison to Cambridge Analytica. But scarier. He says this thing doesn't need your data like those other platforms. It can literally model your mind, like figure out if you're thinking dissenting thoughts without you even typing a word. And then he drops this bomb. He heavily implies that Washington has its own version of this tech. I don't know about you, but I'm getting chills.
It's scary stuff, no doubt about it. And what Alexei R. is saying is this tech could be used for social control, manipulation, and not just by one country, but by many. Cambridge Analytica was about analyzing what you do online. This is about predicting, maybe even controlling, what you think before you even act.
So here we are. Was Dusha Lovets just some forgotten Cold War experiment? Or was it the blueprint for something way bigger, way scarier? Think about it. We're already living in a world where algorithms are constantly analyzing us, our every click, every post.
And that's the point, isn't it? There's a clear line from Dusha Lovets to what we see happening today. The evidence is pretty strong. The technology has evolved, become more sophisticated, more pervasive, but the goal, at its core, remains the same.
And to quote one of our sources, leaving us with this chilling thought, if history is any guide, they're always listening.
It's a sobering reminder, isn't it? The idea that someone could be listening in, not just to our words, but to our thoughts, is a deeply disturbing concept to grasp.
And on that note, we have one final piece of information, pulled straight from our source material.
Thoughts detected. Preparing correction.
Wow, that's something else. And listen, if any of you out there have come across anything at all that might be related to Russia's Sistema 12 or that tech being developed by NeuroSphere, we need to hear from you. You can reach us confidentially at soulcatcher@acoldcases.com. Your experience, your information could be the missing piece of the puzzle.
Seriously, anything you know could be a huge help in understanding how big this really is.
And remember, in the age of mind-reading AI, your thoughts might not be as private as you think.
It's a brave new world out there, and we need to be aware of the potential threats to our freedom of thought. Stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant.